Hello everyone and welcome to the Academic Alehouse, round 5.
I didn't know you could count that high.
Adorable. I am your host Clayton. I am joined as always by my co-host Ryan.
Howdy, everybody.
So, what are we drinking tonight?
Well, in the usual vestment of culture and class, I have another imported beer from Germany. This one's a Melzen beer by the brand Weltenberger Kloster out of Bavaria, Germany. And to chase that down, when I'm done with that, I have a Spatenbrau Lager, which is also, I believe, out of Bavaria. Let me make sure, though. They always put where it was made really small, like that's not why we buy it. So, yeah, Spaten's out of Munich, and the Weltenberger Kloster is actually from Kelheim, Germany, which is still in Bavaria. Everything, I don't think the United States knows that there are other parts of Germany than Bavaria. There are, but everything that's German here is Bavarian. Everything. It's very hard for me to get beer from anywhere else in Germany. If we have any German listeners, hook me up.
No comment.
What are you drinking, my friend?
Well, I promised a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was either round 2 or round 3, that I would get that after complaints, yours and apparently audiences, that I would go out and get some liquor and some soda. So I have such things. I have Fireball and Coke.
It's one step above an Appletini.
It's really not. But I've never had an Appletini, so what the hell would I know?
Uh-huh. I believe that. This is my I believe you voice.
Uh-huh. Alright, so quickly moving on.
Before I just hold on, just need to pound my gavel. That is the sound of me still judging you. Continue.
Quickly moving on. It's time for In the News. So Donald Trump made headlines this week.
Shocker.
Apparently, he commented, he said that he was the chosen one for the trade war against China.
Sure, why not?
And apparently the media has taken that to mean that he believes he's some sort of messiah. Personally, I think he's memeing. But, you know.
Well, yeah, but hold on, bear with me here. Didn't all of the chosen ones get a section in the Bible? Bear with me, I'm going somewhere with this. Like the apostles, that's the whole Bible is just their account of, like, events, right?
Matthew,
John,
Mark, Luke, and John, yes.
Right. Well, how many other chosen ones have there been? Muhammad, but he went and did his own thing. Right.
Job got one.
Right. The point is, if you're one of the chosen ones, you get a section of the Bible. That's basically the deal, right? So, yeah. Picture, if you will, Trump somewhere in the New Testament. What would that contain?
Memes. Endless memes.
I mean, that would make church more interesting. I would say praise Keck, but, we already did. Actually, we haven't told the audience about that whole incident involving the fraternity, but we're not going to. But
why would you mention it then?
Because the praise Keck just makes me think of our good friends back in college. I wonder if they'll ever be let out of Guantanamo.
Maybe.
Probably not. Eventually, the government's going to find us.
In other news, we have a New York Times leak.
Oh, boy.
The minutes from an executive board meeting were leaked online that basically proved what we all knew to begin with, that at the very least, the New York Times is heavily biased against not only conservative media, but just in general independent content creators, independent news. They have a strong left-leaning bias. So,
basically, Rockefeller fucked the national media, and while we have some kind of media conglomerate monopoly.
I would put it more on Ted Turner's head, but yes.
Ted Turner, Rockefeller, Morgan. Is there really a difference? Is there really a difference?
There's a Habsburg somewhere that owns a media company.
I'm not going to comment on the Habsburgs, because may their reign live on. Put that down, please. We are not controlled by any government entity. that's still governing.
Alright, and finally, for me at least, I know you've got a couple of things that you want to comment on.
Yeah.
And finally, we have The Atlantic, a basically left-wing propaganda rag, admitting that Trump has a decent chance of winning in 2020.
What if they're trying to do reverse psychology, though? Well, hear me out. Everyone said that Hillary was going to win, and she didn't.
Uh-huh.
So what if their whole ploy now is for the whole media train, like think about what the Times is saying, think about what the Atlantic is saying, is to tell everyone Trump's going to win and hoping for the opposite effect?
I don't see it working, considering the Democratic field, but we've got...
How is that going, by the way? I hear Warren has taken the lead. Just for the
As
record, I am
far as-
on record for calling Warren for making it into the White House one way or another.
As far as I'm aware, Sanders still leads, but Warren is a close second.
Sanders made a comeback?
Biden leads. Sanders. Biden leads because he doesn't have. Because unlike what people think, he doesn't have a high ceiling. He has a low floor.
What?
His poll numbers have never really dropped into the single digits like everyone else in the fields.
Oh,
So-
I just thought he had an architectural problem.
So no, he has a very low floor. So getting above that median percentile.
So what you're saying
Is
is
shocking.
all Joe has to do is be mediocre.
Yes.
Well, he's good at that.
Considering the field he's in, yes. But Warren is quickly catching up with him, especially, and recent gaffes will probably hurt him in the long run. Sanders is, well, he's running on fumes. Anyone else is unelectable.
So, bear with me here. Say Biden makes it to the debates against Trump. Biden was a meme official. Trump is a meme official. Would this be meme war too?
Biden was a meme official for the wrong reasons. Biden was a meme official for the gaffes. Trump generates memes
Trump is a meme.
because he is a meme.
But I'm just saying, picture these two on stage with each other.
Oh, it'll be hilarious.
Trump will claim not to be a
amazing.
racist. Biden will say something racist. It'll be like George W. the Second Coming.
It will.
You got to admit, for all his failures, more people watch George's speeches than anybody else's, except maybe Trump. I don't know. We have to get those numbers. But I was in high school and I loved sitting there listening to W just do his best. I don't blame him. We all have problems with public speaking. He made it to the White House, and he made up words. And there were times you could see his speechwriter sitting there in the corner rethinking all of his decisions. That word wasn't there, Mr. President. Get him, Cheney. We won't go down the whole W. Bush thing. I've got jokes for every president, past and present, and some, just every president. We'll go down there.
Tyler.
Really? Tyler?
Yes.
He's famous for something called Tippy Canoe, where they killed a bunch of Indians. Do I need to meme that?
No.
And they elected him.
I'm just impressed you know something about John Tyler as the president.
Try me. Just like I maintain that Woodrow Wilson was the worst president we've ever had.
FDR's closer.
I've got you on one thing. Income tax.
Damn.
And
I'll hand that to you.
And he bungled how he handled the Treaty of Versailles, which led to World War II.
I'll give that one to you too.
Nobody can.
Wilson?
Obama was our worst president. Let me tell you about why you should hate Woodrow Wilson. Everybody walks away halfway through that speech. I have my reasons.
Their minds changed.
I'm just saying, Woodrow Wilson, income tax. Argument over. I want my money back, Washington.
Alright, so you've got a couple things you want to comment on.
Unfortunately. So, Australian billionaire Clive Palmer is what's the word I want to use here? Reigniting his Titanic 2 project. What his plan is to have the Chinese build a functioning scale replica of the RMS Titanic and have it run the original route. Now, as someone who, let's just say, dabbles in maritime history, as you sit behind a massive bookshelf full of nothing but books about ships, I have some concerns. 1, made in China. 2, original route. As many people may know, the original route was, Let's just say the people who made it got a half-off refund.
Dark.
But true. And fun fact, there was one mother of a crewman who got a bill for his uniforms after the ship went down.
Wow.
Yeah, the 1900s were savage. My point being, why? How? Why China? Because as we speak, the original shipyard that built the Titanic, Harland and Wolff in Belfast, Ireland, is in what think they call financial reconstruction, which basically over here equates to going bankrupt. And they still won't do the project. They say it's in poor taste. But they're going bankrupt.
Almost 100 years later.
Still in poor taste. I mean, let's be real. In 100 years, if someone says, I want to build replica Twin Towers, how do you think that's going to go over? And the body count's very similar.
Fair.
Replica Twin Towers wouldn't go over. Why would a replica Titanic? However, that being said, I'd work on it. See, people who wouldn't get on have a desire to live.
Yeah.
I'm good. Also in the news, apparently the Brazilian president, in a deal with super evil oil companies, has lit the Amazon on fire. Yeah, that came second to the ship. You can bite me. I don't care. Everyone says our president's the Antichrist, and I have a mental image of a Brazilian snorting a pile of coke and going in the Amazon with a flamethrower.
I just imagine the Brazilian president just pouring alcohol in a trail.
Because, allegedly, some tribal people won a lawsuit saying that tearing down the Amazon was a bad thing, and in response, the Brazilian government said, fine, you can keep your forest on fire. That shit's so bad, Smokey the Bear sitting in California going, I feel a disturbance in the force.
Alright, so the environmental impact on this is going to be big, but...
Coked out Brazilian president lit the world's biggest forest on fire. That's the story.
Alright, so long term, though, the Amazon will be fine.
Maybe. As long as the president doesn't get another fucking term. My point is, what the hell? The president makes a joke about being the Messiah. It's national news. The Brazilian president can get coked out and torch our world's most precious resource.
For 3 weeks.
For 3 weeks, and it's a footnote. Gotta agree with the Trump man on the fact that he might be under a microscope.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I want to be president of Brazil. All the things you can get away with. Don't question what's in that shipping container. Just keep lighting the forest on fire. What is going on? And the mainstream media that promotes using electric cars and all this crunchy granola stuff has had shockingly little to say. This is everything they claimed Donald Trump would do, and it was done by some guy in Brazil. I mean, if you want a forest torch properly, I guess you've got to do it yourself.
That's fair.
But just, can you not mentally see the Brazilian president with a flamethrower and Welcome to the Jungle playing from an unidentified source, just torching the Amazon, laughing maniacally?
You know what really sucks, though?
Is
people
living
are
in
going to
it?
jump off the Amazon rainforest bandwagon real quick.
They never got on.
You know why?
Why?
Because PETA made a tweet about it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's nothing. There was a girl I went to high school with. I don't know her name, but apparently there were enough people who, when they heard Amazon was on fire, were worried about the warehouse downtown. I worry. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Amazon warehouse, Amazon forest, both being on fire has implications, but that's where their minds went. Oh no, the Amazon warehouse is on fire. I have to wait 3 days for shipping. 2 if they can get the corpses out fast enough. That's at your expense, Bezos. What you gonna do about it? You're a drone.
No. We're beneath Jeff Bezos' notice.
For now.
Alright,
If we get like 5 more viewers, he might drone strike us. I feel like I had something. But honestly, I still got that Brazilian coked out president in my head. And let's be honest, that's tough to follow for the news. Do we have anything else we need to cover on that?
I don't think so.
All right, well, I think our president would be interesting, coked out and trying to set things on fire.
Yeah, but then they have reason to impeach him.
Maybe they claim they have reason to impeach him now.
They don't.
Well, I know that. You know that. And apparently, they don't have probable cause in Brazil.
I don't think they have an impeachment clause in Brazil. But I don't know enough about Brazil to know.
I mean, I know that they sure can pick him.
Very true.
Wow. Well, wasn't his election a big thing last year? Like, they said
Yeah,
he was
I think it
Brazilian
was.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
How come English Donald Trump and Brazilian Donald Trump have done far more interesting things than our Donald Trump?
Because every single action our Donald Trump takes is perceived through a lens of horrifying dictatorship. Thus, we have desensitized ourselves to that's not interesting. Thus, Donald Trump is no longer news. Boris Johnson and whoever the president, Manny Rivera, the president of Brazil.
Such an American thing to say. Whoever that guy was.
Are new on the playing board. And they're not under a microscope. At least by our media.
They set the Amazon on fire.
Hey, any reporter that's going to report about the Amazon that isn't international is going to see two men ride up on a motorcycle.
That is very true. I guess they do crack down on those things there. Point being, our Donald Trump, the media promised me a presidency of insanity. Meanwhile, Brazil gets it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm still hearing Welcome to the Jungle in my...
Are you jealous?
I mean, I don't know what Donald Trump would set on fire. When he was getting elected, he had me under the impression he was going to set D.C. on fire. And I feel like the country at large would have supported him. But the Amazon actually has effects.
I mean, the British did that in 1812, so it's kind of passé.
Well, you know, if the British did it, it must be classy.
Very true.
Yeah, think about it. You don't have to burn the White House. Well, it does need some new decor. But no.
Right.
Don't burn the monuments. There's nothing I can say that doesn't have black SUVs pulling up in front of our house. And I can't go through that again. If they have to come out for a fourth time this month, I have to buy them smoothies.
You have to buy them smoothies?
I do.
I get a free ice cream.
You get a free ice cream because they're paying you to rat on me. I'm on to you.
I would never rat on you.
I believe men who drink beer. Those are people you can make a square deal with. Yeah.
That's why all the businessmen drink liquor.
That is very true. And the politicians. Beer. Drink of the working class.
Mm-hmm.
You sly little peasant. Anyway, you can't see the faces being exchanged here, so we'll just move past the personal insult phase. And what terrible thing are we talking about today?
So, I'm sure you know about Hong Kong.
Well, no, that's Bangkok. Let's see. No, that one's Thailand. Never do that again. Right. The place that had freedom that's now being Tiananmen Squared.
Yes, correct. So, I think for those who aren't in the loop, because at this point I don't think it's had a lot of media coverage, it's had just enough that many people are aware of it, that at least follow independent content creators, but Hong Kong, for I think since late July, has been engrossed in protests for its independence, basically. They're demanding democracy in Hong Kong. But you may be wondering, why? Well, the thing is, Hong Kong wasn't actually ever part of China. It hasn't been for a while.
It's in that weird post-war phase where Asia just kind of became.
Yeah. So Hong Kong for a long time was part of like the Chinese Empire, but that naming one Chinese empire is like picking a name out of a hat.
With a lot of Q's and other letters we don't use a lot.
Exactly.
Just like in Poland. We just lost the one guy in Poland who listens to us. Hey, look, if they can't admit that they have an obscene amount of Z's in their names, they need to come to Jesus, not us.
You should look at Welsh.
The Welsh have been conquered. The Polish have not.
That's true. But So
The reason the Welsh were conquered because it took too long to say their damn names.
So the reason Hong Kong was for a long time after one of the wars with Britain, and I can't remember which one. There's like 3 of them.
Britain does that a lot. I mean, there's world history, and then England shows up.
Yeah, that's probably about right. You could do the entire world history as to the rise and fall of the British Empire because so many things rely on it.
Yeah, it's like, hey, these people were minding their own business. Then a ship showed up one day.
Yeah.
That's the history of the world brought to you by England.
In fairness, that is how we opened up Japan.
No, that was us.
Yeah, I know. I was referring to we as Americans.
Yeah, it's like, hey, the British have been doing this for 100 years. Send some gunboats. Hey, they've got swords. Give us everything.
Basically, as payment for losing the war.
Right.
One of them, and I can't remember which one. It's like either the first or second Opium War.
I'm gonna go with second because I feel like if it wasn't that one, there'd be another Opium War.
Which is a complex topic in and of itself because the British got the Chinese addicted to opium because the emperor wouldn't let them trade.
Again, the British went hard.
Yeah.
And then they didn't. The Germans bombed that right out of them.
Hong Kong was essentially a British Commonwealth state for a long time. Almost, it was 200 years.
Sure.
So it's sort of got the red-headed stepchild syndrome that the American colonies got.
You mean, was this pre or post Apartheid? You know, what's that? Apartheid? How do you say that? South Africa.
Oh, apartheid?
That's the one.
Yes, post-apartheid. So
Hong Kong came after South Africa.
No, Hong Kong was a British colony during the 20th century, and I think even mid to late 19th century.
So not into the Africa thing.
No.
Before that. Okay. For those people, everyone should know that there were the whole Africa thing. If they don't, read a book.
Yeah.
Continuing. But
they weren't free from Britain until about 1999, I want to say. 1999-2000.
Right.
But it was a slow process. So they've recently been free of all British influence, and now they're a giant hub of trade, investment, and pretty much anything. They're a global trade center, which is why the world is crying recession, because this shit's going down there.
So how does China come into this?
Well, China, during the 20th century, it's not a pretty picture.
Is it ever with them?
Sometimes.
I doubt.
Sometimes it's a pretty picture. But it's not a pretty picture. See, China wanted its own independence, following in the footsteps of the West. Mm-hmm. But they didn't want the West.
Yeah, boy, did that work out.
Well, there basically at one point there were 3 factions fighting for the governance of China.
This is pre-World War II.
Pre-World War II. Pre-World War I, actually.
Okay.
Pre-World War I, pre-World War II, and then, yes.
I was, weirdly enough, reading about that the other day. Apparently the German Empire was involved with the Boxer Rebellion. Mm-hmm. Did not know that.
Japan, too.
Well, I could see that.
But basically, there was the National Government of China.
Right.
The Communists.
Wonder how that worked out.
And the...
Nationalists.
And the warlords. The warlords get knocked out fairly quickly, and the national government takes over. But the national government doesn't have the military power or the political influence to hold China for very long. The communists have long been subversing them and undermining their authority.
Communists subversing a country and undermining the legitimate government's authority?
Not helping the fact that World War II happens, and then Japan sort of gets a boner for murder, and Nanking happens.
But the communists and the nationalists put their guns aside to fight the Japanese, who are bayoneting their babies and shish kebabbing them.
Correct.
There's one thing every country in Asia can agree on. They hate Japan. But once
Japan was kicked out of... Once Japan was basically forced to pull out because of the U.S. entering the war, during World War II.
Yeah, they didn't pull out right then. What made them pull out was two very large explosions that they weren't expecting.
The two governments of China began warring with one another. Unfortunately, the communists had not sat idle during the war, and they basically had the numbers and weapons to overthrow the national government, forcing the real government of China to flee to Taiwan. And now the illegitimate communist state of China exists.
So you don't think that the Chinese government's legitimate at this point?
I do not.
But if it came down to a fight, there would be no more Taiwan.
Correct.
So they're the legitimate government.
Correct. But they're not legitimate.
But they are, because the legitimacy of a government decides on whether or not you can kick the crap out of anyone who challenges you or not.
I suppose that's fair.
So if it came down to a fight, if they're not the legitimate government then, they probably would be in a week. So, as it stands, what we know about China. Aggressive moves in the South China Sea, off the coast of Japan. Funding the North Korean regime. They've conquered Tibet.
They've done that for years.
Sure. They're putting pressure on... I actually recall that when the president went to recognize Taiwan, the Chinese threatened war. They're impressing on Hong Kong. They're pushing on the Indians. From India. Yeah, I heard you. Yeah, I'm talking to you, listeners. There were like 3 of them, I guarantee you, who were picturing the wrong kind. Yeah, I'm on to you. They're pushing on the Vietnamese. As it stands, China right now is trying to gobble up everything it can.
Correct.
Stopping only not to mess with the Russians.
Correct. Because they've had a long, if a little strained, relationship with the Russians.
If Nixon wasn't such a screw-up, we could have let them kill each other. That's why you should hate Nixon. Watergate wasn't anything. What he did with the Chinese and the Russians, it would have been a better world.
Very true.
Anyway. The case in point being that
Hong Kong
is the next thing in China's path that they plan to gobble up. And if Hong Kong goes, there's a good chance Taiwan goes.
Fair. But that's sort of the history and the reason why China wants Hong Kong. Because
China wants Asia. China is doing now what Japan did, albeit on a much slower scale, in the 40s. They are trying to make Asia Chinese. And that's why they gobbled up Tibet, who did not fight. And they're pushing on Hong Kong, and they're doing everything they can to delegitimize Taiwan. They're pushing on Japan, who we effectively neutered. They're expanding their sphere of influence in the Philippines, in Africa, and throughout the world. And what's interesting about how the Chinese do business, and this is what I think is hilarious, is the Chinese do business more like America than the Americans do. To give you an example, Kenya. The Americans said, we're going to offer you an aid package to build a port. You will owe us money, but you pay it back, you're fine, you're good. That's the American terms. The Chinese said, we'll give you more money to build a port, and if you don't pay it back, we will fuck you up. Kenya went with the Chinese because the American government can't be trusted. They missed a payment. Chinese government is working on seizing the port. They are repossessing it. Now, and anywhere in our country, in the history, have we repossessed a foreign area for not paying us?
No.
The French did to the Germans in the interwar period. But the Chinese are rolling up into these countries they loan money to and repossessing the infrastructure that they built. The era of Chinese economic influence exploding is happening right now. And the only people actively standing up to the Chinese are Japan, who the Prime Minister, I think, is Shinzo Abe. Prime Minister of Japan, the only person who's suggesting Japan should really build up its military.
Oh, yeah.
Getting backlash at home for being too much like Imperial Japan. Sounds familiar. Like another country we may have obliterated similar time period to that one. And the U.S., of course, doing what it can to posture with the Chinese. But aside from the U.S. and Japan, there's very few people standing up to the Chinese. They're here. Oh, and then, Donald Trump himself. He's hitting China where it hurts, which is...
in the almighty dollar.
The almighty dollar. And they villainize him for it here. Now,
Yeah.
whether it works, whether it's not
Because-
working, neither one of us are versed enough in economics
I would agree with that.
to say whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. But the world seems very interestingly sympathetic to China. If not sympathetic, apathetic enough to allow them to keep doing what they're doing.
Exactly. Like, there were... Before this, it got any media coverage at all. Well, there were... the Chinese government paid gangs in Hong Kong to go and attack these protesters.
And when that didn't work, they co-opted the Hong Kong government to pass an extradition law, which sparked the whole thing.
And now they've got troops on the border of Hong Kong.
But does China send in the troops? Does China repeat its, let's morbidly say, success of the Tiananmen Square massacre in 1989?
Considering that
the world did jack squat about it?
The world did jack squat about it, and they know the Chinese government is not stupid. They are very aware that the media, the world in the Western world, which is where their biggest opponents come from, is very sympathetic to their cause because they have the similar ideologies.
Well, let's also not take into account that the Chinese have admitted they're waiting for our next election, hoping Trump gets not elected.
Exactly.
To stop this whole tariff thing. They are trying to run out the clock on Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Say he gets 4 more years.
Which is why we need to re-elect him.
I mean, we'll see who they give me. Do I like Donald Trump? I will say I don't. However, I don't follow cults of personality. Mm-hmm. Meaning if he makes a good call, I'll say he makes a good call. If he makes a boneheaded call, I'll say he makes a boneheaded call. I'm not just going to pledge my allegiance to Donald Trump because he made a good call on China. Yeah. And I'm not going to demonize him for his bad calls and say no decision he makes from here on in makes him legitimate as a president. Because I am an independent thinking individual, as most people in the country are. Love him. The people who love him unconditionally and hate him unconditionally are two sides of the same coin, and they annoy the other 90% of us.
Very true.
So that being said, we don't need to get out and vote for Trump. We need to vote for the person who's going to do the best for America, not just hurt China. Now, why the Chinese definitely need a stick in the ass, no one's asking, actually, where do the Democrats stand on China? Have they at any point spoken about trade policy?
Nope.
In their debates?
Nope. They're mostly focused on domestic policy because
like raising
they
taxes.
know exactly because everyone already knows their foreign policy.
Let China do whatever they want.
Exactly. It's the same. It's the Obama era foreign policy.
Oh God! Didn't we just clean up Syria, or did Syria just clean itself up? I guess.
I can't tell. I haven't been following Syria for so long.
I can't follow Syria. I've tried. And from what I've gathered, everybody there is a huge asshole.
From what I've gathered, it's like either the media at one point was like,
Assad. Yeah.
Bashar al-Assad's a dictator. He's gassing his own people, blah,
he
blah,
needs
blah.
to be taken out.
And then we did something about it. And now we're like, oh, Assad was a good guy. He was a good governor. He was doing this and that, blah, blah, blah. And
the media is acting towards Syria like someone who sang the wrong word of a song just as the crowd got quiet.
Yeah.
I wasn't singing.
Yeah.
I mean, just the whole Syria thing.
And
you had John McCain there meeting the people who would become ISIS, I think. And then you had the media all for a war. And then Trump took office, and then the media was not really sure what to do. Although, you want to talk about some big dick energy. When Trump tomahawked Syria while he was having dinner with the premier president, communist language of China. That's some Godfather shit.
Yeah.
I respect that immensely. I don't see Merkel doing that.
Oh, hell no. Merkel's a spineless woman.
Is she still...
She is, but she's on her way out.
Yeah, you don't see her in the news as much. They really flouted her as the leader of the free world when Obama was in office.
If prevailing winds are to tell me correctly.
I've heard
especially if Brexit goes through on the 31st. Merkel's base is going to throw her out.
I've heard Germany's on the brink of a recession, actually. You know, I follow German news very closely.
I've heard a lot about, like, it's going to be a global recession. It's going to be worse than 2008.
Phew.
I think we're making a lot of hullabaloo out of very, very little.
I hope so, because, man, we're poor. Then again, I think recessions really only affect rich people and hard workers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the solution would be for us to get elected to Senate. And we'll be fine.
Yeah.
But that aside, they say Germany's on the brink of a recession, and that the far-right party in Germany, Alternative for Deutschland, AfD, is still gaining traction. They're in the double digits in the German Rathaus, their governor in the Reichstag, and gaining traction. And their whole thing is throw the Muslims out, make Germany for Germans, make Germany great again.
Yep.
And it's gaining traction. Despite every German I've ever met saying that they're Nazis and shouldn't be elected, there sure seem to be a lot of Germans who like the AfD.
So we should probably get back on topic.
What were we talking about again?
Hong Kong.
Well, it all ties together. China is in the middle of it. Germany is in a huge thing with China. There's allegedly a global recession coming and a trade war between the U.S. and China that's escalating, like two kids throwing rocks at each other on a schoolyard.
Right now, though, it seems to have calmed down.
Didn't the president just tweet about like raising tariffs and how we've stupidly let China rape us for trade for years?
We have.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. But I'm saying, is that considered a de-escalation? Are we at that point in the timeline?
Nobody's really talking about it, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah. So basically, what we're admitting is that Donald Trump and Xi Jinping had an awkward boner in the shower, and now we're just not talking about it.
Exactly. So what I think is happening now is Trump is waiting for the Hong Kong situation.
That's what the Chinese.
To either sort itself out or become a full-blown military conflict.
And if it does?
And if it does, I don't know what he'll do. But I think, but I'm not a mind reader.
Well, think about it this way.
Honestly, the best thing I think...
If we go to war with China, we don't have to pay them back the money we owe them.
Very true.
Just saying, we may actually save money on this war. Johnson, get me a cost analysis. We don't have a Johnson.
But I think both of them are waiting to see how this Hong Kong situation pans out. Because if the protesters get what they want,
right,
they basically become an independent state.
Right.
China looks weak, and Trump will capitalize on that.
Sure.
For the trade war.
Sure.
If China rolls up and starts shooting innocent civilians and it becomes an armed conflict, China looks awful. Well, and Trump gets a key to the White House.
Oh,
because he'll be because he'll immediately come out and say the actions of the Chinese government are despicable, murdering your own citizens.
And the Chinese are going to probably get to meet the U.S. 7th Fleet.
Exactly. Who knows? Maybe. But China looks bad. So
you're China. You sit there and you do what?
So Trump gets advantage in the trade war again.
Sure.
Because he can then do no wrong.
So what do you do as China?
China is not in a very good position, in my opinion, optically.
Sure they are.
Because perception is reality.
Well, yes, but it's very simple if you're the Chinese, what you do. You wait. Hong Kong ain't going anywhere.
Which is why...
These people need their paychecks eventually. You sit, you wait. November is a year away.
Mm-hmm.
If I were China, and I really wanted to take Hong Kong out, and the Chinese are playing the long game, wait. Now, they're going to have to come to Jesus if Donald Trump wins the election.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, they roll up, they take out Hong Kong at the coronation.
And whoever's in the White House, whatever Democrat's in the White House, is going to be focused on domestic policy because that's what they promised their voters.
And
their
Hong Kong goes away.
Fervent socialist voting base. And Hong Kong goes away with a whimper.
It does. But if Donald Trump gets reelected, China has to choose.
China has to pick. Does it step back on Hong Kong and let it and look weak?
Or does it do something that makes it an international war criminal?
Exactly.
I'm going to think they're going to go with the look weak.
Optically, China can't win here.
They put themselves there, so...
Yeah. They could have let Hong Kong go. At the first sign of protest, they could have let Hong Kong go. And they would have
just
said...
conquer it later.
Exactly. They could have played the even longer game. Because Trump's not going to be in the White House forever.
Nope. He's 70. Even if he tried. He's not going to be no FDR.
And plus the term limit.
That too. Which was followed
Trump
back then.
So China only has to wait 8 years. And if they had let Hong Kong go right now, in late July, when they started protesting, when they wanted out,
right?
If China had said, sure, bring your government here, we'll negotiate we'll negotiate, like, your independence or whatever.
A rollout plan. It'll take exactly 8 years to get implemented.
Exactly.
Wink, nudge, nudge.
And then waited 8 years. See who gets into office again. Which, if the Democratic Party continues going like it is going to be another Republican. But...
Yeah, but it's going to be like a Lindsey Graham Republican.
Exactly. Who isn't going to stand up and say, China, step down.
Right.
They could have rolled over Hong Kong easily.
But with that being said, we as history majors know hindsight's 2020.
Hindsight is 2020 always.
I don't think they thought Trump was going to keep ratcheting up the tariffs.
No. And
he did. And now, I think the Hong Kong protests, which are heavily appealing to Americans,
exactly,
give us our Second Amendment, singing our national anthem, they're appealing to the American right.
Oh, yeah.
And the American left, in some kind of weird thing, is backing the Chinese government.
Because they're communists.
Didn't they used to hide that?
No.
But I saw a thing the other day, some moron on Twitter. I don't have a Twitter. Don't you at me. You will not find me. But I saw a screen cap of something on Twitter that says that because the Hong Kong protesters are using Pepe's, the little meme frog, that they are channeling the American alt-right, and it is the duty of the Chinese government to stamp out hatred. Now, don't get it. You want to know who shared that I saw it? Sargon of Akkad. It's there. That is the biggest Hail Mary I have ever seen on how to support the Chinese government. Damn.
In fairness, Sargon probably shared it for the lols. I'll
no
give him that.
shit.
But really,
someone believed that.
Oh, yeah.
Damn. Like, it wasn't even like, they're misguided. No, it was like, we need to stamp out these people wanting democracy right now.
Exactly.
Wow.
Because the far left, who is in control of the Democratic Party, he hates democracy.
Ironically, using democracy to attack democracy. I don't get it.
It's how communist revolutions are won.
By using
in the modern day.
I guess. By using the system in place to bring it down, I guess.
Exactly.
But my case in point is, wow. Awkward dead silence. Anyway, I'm just saying.
We had a guest.
No, we didn't.
Alright, anyway.
You refilling your booze doesn't count as having a guest.
That's fair.
But my case in point being is that anyone talking about Hong Kong, a shocking majority, are doing it in support of the Chinese government.
Yeah. It's a little weird.
And Twitter is clamping down on the people fighting them.
I didn't know if we would bring this up. I forgot to put it on the
let's talk about
outline.
Let's talk about Twitter.
Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, and
Twitter and Facebook.
Zuckerberg.
Our robot overlord are cracking down on people supporting the Hong Kong protests.
How do people who make billions of dollars under the capitalist system and who have purchased politicians support a system that would have them shot? I don't get it.
Because they think they'll be in charge.
They probably would be. Let's be honest. Don't do that. Rip headphone users.
We haven't killed the headphone users yet.
Yes, but let me show you how we do kill the headphone users. This is my 3-pound mug that holds 4 liters of beer. Big sip. Slam.
That's an actual rip headphone users.
Done properly. Do it right or don't do it at all.
Alright. So, Twitter.
Just that slug of beer made hair grow on my chest. Drink beer, kids, not liquor. That's probably going to get us shut down by some agency or another.
Probably.
Selling liquor to minors.
Twitter has been clamping down and banning accounts in support of the Hong Kong protesters, which
are using their site to proliferate their protests.
By the way, I think we can both say I firmly stand in support of the Hong Kong protesters.
Oh, yeah. I'm all for... Here's the thing. I'm all for self-determination. If Delaware said tomorrow it wanted to secede, I'd be all for it.
Agreed.
Because a group of people have every right to determine their own destiny. Whether it be against, states splitting off from the U.S., states splitting off from China, states getting their shit together in Africa. I don't care. I fully believe that everyone has the right to self-determination.
Give them time. They'll do it. Just give them time.
Some guy in 1823, probably. That's a quote. Too soon? I'm sorry, but there's just not many countries there that have their shit together.
In Africa?
Yes.
Absolutely not.
Even Egypt is a little shaky.
That's because Egypt is part of the Middle East, not Africa.
It's on the African continent, though.
All right.
Look, I'm reaching here, bud.
Yeah, I know. But if we're going to reach for fucking Japan.
They're not on the African continent unless we've had an earthquake I'm unaware of. A very large one. That's really reaching. You keep reaching, you're going to come back around. Give yourself a little squeeze. Good God. On the African continent, I'm going to have to throw my money in with Egypt. And maybe some of those ports along the strait. Like Hormuz. No, that's not where that's at
That
at
was
all.
what you wanted to talk about.
Oh, God, that. Okay.
So quick in the news in between the topic.
Right. For a short intermission while we refill, we're going to talk about the fact that the Iranian tanker seized by the island of Gibraltar, allegedly at the behest of the U.S., which was responded to by the seizure of British ships by the Iranians in the Strait of Hormuz, has now departed Gibraltar and tried to go to Greece, and the Americans threatened to hurt Greece if they let it in. So apparently we're openly involved now. And then they tried to go to Turkey, and we threatened to hurt Turkey, so Turkey's not letting them in. So now they're just kind of going. Where they're going, nobody knows. But the tanker full of Iranian oil that's supposed to be embargoed, every time they try to go somewhere, America just shows up and goes, if you do this, we're going to hurt you. And I think they believe him. But we picked on Greece. What's Greece going to do? Oh, yeah, your ship needs...
further into debt.
Right. Your ship needs repairs? Sure, come into our port. Shh. Never mind.
Sorry, our debt holders say no.
Yeah, the Americans sent Dick Cheney with a bill. You can just keep on steaming. Sorry.
Oh, God.
I told you I was going to make a dick joke.
Oh, God, no.
It just had to be a Dick Cheney joke.
No. I just had the image of Dick Cheney with Greece on a leash.
No.
Just when the Iranian tanker pulls up, he just yanks the leash.
It wasn't even that. It's the Greeks on TV with just a shotgun sticking on through the screen going, I am being well treated. You may not dock here because our dock is having technical difficulties. We like you. Shh. We don't like you. Like one of those terrorist videos.
Go back to Iran.
Go back to Iran. You can't stop here. Did I do good? Don't hurt me. And then the feed cuts out. And then the Turkish, who knows where we're at with them. That changes every week.
Oh, good God.
I've heard
it changes every week because the Turkish government changes every week.
The government itself doesn't. But let's be honest, the government in Turkey is equivalent, the national equivalent of a car salesman.
Very true.
It's like, oh, you like the Russian models? We love the Russian models. Come on here and get the Russian models. Oh, no, my American friends, we love the American models. Screw those Russian models. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's what's going on there. The Turkish are the Middle Eastern equivalent of car salesmen.
Yeah.
They'll tell both sides whatever they want to hear, just not to get run over by one side or the other.
Yep.
The once great Ottoman Empire, now the car salesman.
Not helping the fact that every 5 years they have to overthrow their own government just to remain stable.
Well, I mean, they didn't succeed last time, and they blamed us for it. You were responsible for our coup, and Turkey's like, Turkey's accusing the U.S. of trying to overthrow their government, and like 90% of America is like, it's not Thanksgiving. Why are we talking about Turkey? Huh? Yeah, even the U.S. government's like, what? Did we do that? We didn't? You know they're not going to believe us, right? We didn't do it?
I mean,
screw you! Yep. See, told you.
In fairness, we do have a record of sort of interfering in governmental overthrowing.
I didn't say it was wrong. I'm just saying, I don't think we had anything to do with that one, and I'm the first one to blame. The shit in Venezuela, totally our fault.
I don't believe that.
Oh, come on. The president tweeted, "We support the rebel faction," and then they got crushed. And he put the paper in his pocket and shuffled back into the White House. Like, oh, well, that didn't go like we thought it was going to go. It lasted like 3 days. They couldn't overthrow a South American Oompa Loompa. Like, our coup staging abilities are lacking from, like, the days in the 70s where we sent jets and shit and denied it. We sent jets that only we had and said we weren't there that day. We weren't even a country that day.
We're attempting to be more subtle now.
It's not working.
Perhaps we should go back to the days when we weren't subtle.
Yeah, we staged land invasions and denied it. Like, let's be real.
Shout out to the Bay of Pigs.
That's exactly what I was talking about. I'm so glad you're with it. But, like, you would have a freaking A1 Abrams tank with a Texas flag flying on the back of our government going, we don't know anything about that. Like a guy who just got caught cheating. I don't know nothing. I wasn't there. That wasn't me you saw. And now it's like, we support you. Oh, you wanted the Bay of Pigs? Sorry, no, we don't do that anymore. We're in a happy relationship with democracy. Have some guns.
Hold on, just don't turn them on us.
Just don't
5 minutes later.
God damn it. That's why we don't do that anymore. That's probably exactly why.
That's probably exactly why. The U.S. has never learned its lesson on selling guns to people that shouldn't have guns.
Case in point being, the Turkish blamed us for a coup that was really way too well put together to be us.
Very true.
Like, we just don't anymore. Look at what happened in Venezuela. That's a government we want dead.
Which is why Hong Kong still functions.
Venezuela was a government we wanted dead, and we couldn't see that through. Why the fuck would we mess with Turkey? Most people in our government don't even know where Turkey is.
Yeah, I'm sure at some point, if the protests turn violent, we will be blamed for turning them. Our country will be blamed for turning them violent.
No shit. Personally, I had a great idea the other day.
The fact that the protests are still going on speaks that the U.S. at present does not have any sort of involvement.
Well, see, here's what you do. Listen up, government officials who are listening.
Please.
3 merchant ships. Those container ones, the big ones. You know, the ones that we see come and go all the time from Houston. Fill every crate with half with guns, half with ammo. You ever play, back in the day, the original Call of Duty? The original, where you're like going across the Volga to fight in Stalingrad.
No.
Okay, there's a scene there. You're rowing across there as you get in a rowboat as you get strafed by Stuka. It's very Soviet. They really need to make games like that again. And you get off the boat, if you make it. The guy who jumped out gets shot by the officer. And you get in line, and the first guy in front of you gets the rifle, but you get the ammo. First man in line gets a rifle. If he dies, the man behind him picks it up. And you just the first half of the mission, you're getting shot at with machine guns, and all you have is a clip of ammo. It's insane. Yeah, you just run like hell. That's all you can do. Do that. Just, here's a gun, go to that table for ammo. Here's a gun, go to that table for ammo. Here's a gun, go to that table for ammo. 4 shipping container ships. Just full of guns and ammo. We've got them to spare.
We do.
We've got them. And if we don't have them, we know a guy who does. And he's probably somewhere in the Middle East.
We could always ask Russia.
I mean, I doubt it.
Hey, Putin. So, I know we're currently screwing your country's GDP and economic prosperity.
Because we have to. Because of the collusion thing.
On sanctions. So, what if I were to tell you that if you support Hong Kong and sort of stir up the Chinese in the north, those sanctions may be lessen down a little bit.
Everyone knows Donald Trump doesn't have the political capital to do that, because if he's soft,
who the hell said
on the Russians in any way the collusion charges come back.
No. But who said Donald Trump had to be involved at all? Because he can just say no. I never authorized
if we loosen sanctions, they will pin it on him. You know that.
Not if the House does it.
again, they will pin it on him.
Of course they will.
A dog takes a crap 3 blocks from the White House and they pin it on him.
That's fair.
So that wouldn't work. But what I'm saying is 4 container ships, weapons, ammo. Set up a table, start chucking them. Here, ammo. That operation takes 4 ships, which we have, and like 10 guys.
But here's how I support my idea.
Violence solves all problems.
I won't deny that. But here's how I support my idea. The Democrats and the media have run Russia into the ground.
Sure.
The idea that we'll lower sanctions to a power that Trump himself has said we should be somewhat on good terms with.
We really should. Russia's so played out.
It is. We should be on good terms with. Is not a bad idea, especially if he can get it. Especially if someone can get it done through a Democratic House member.
Maybe, but it won't happen.
If we can get a Democratic House member to support it or to propose it at first.
This close to an election? Who?
Someone who's not in the running.
So, someone who's establishment.
Someone who's establishment.
Who doesn't hate Trump.
Who doesn't
want to be reelected. Because, yeah, that's what would happen.
Really? A decision like that wouldn't matter.
I'm just saying.
Depending on how.
Fly. Not an election year.
But see, the thing is, though. But that's the thing. If you can get it to where it's a Democrat that proposes it.
Sure.
The media, who's biased towards the Democratic Party in general.
Sure. How are they going to
immediately support it?
How are they going to reverse 4 years of Russia phobia?
Very quickly.
I don't buy it.
I mean, they've literally done a hairpin turn on like one subject. It's so fast within like 8 hours of itself.
No, they don't do hairpin turns. They just stop talking about it, and the American consciousness, which has the attention span of a squirrel, forgets about it.
Fair.
Yeah, no one's gonna forget about Russia. Because it's all they've been. Russia. I went to a friend's birthday party.
Hey, Rachel Maddow.
And then there's that whole thing. I went to a friend's birthday party today. I mentioned Donald Trump because I almost got alcohol. They were trying to get me to do tequila shots. I said no.
Fun.
During the election, I almost died of alcohol poisoning because Trump got elected. And as soon as I said Trump, you want to know what the first thing out of his mom's mouth was? Russia. And I was like, you know that didn't happen, right? Well, let me tell you about why he's bad. I was like, well, this was just about why I didn't want to do shots with you, but now I really don't want to do shots with you.
Because you can't hold back when you're drunk?
You know I can. But also, if I smell tequila, I might die. I took 17 tequila shots on election night, and I'll be happy to tell the viewers how. We didn't think Donald Trump was going to win.
Nope.
So we said, okay, so for every state the Trump man carries...
I sat in my apartment cross-legged, excited as a newborn babe.
We had 6 people, and we said, for every state the Trump man carries, we'll take a shot. We figured we'd take 8 or 9 shots, and it'd be a pretty toasty night. And for every swing state he took, we'll make it a double. 17 tequila shots later, and he got more than that.
4 swing states, right?
It doesn't matter. If we'd have kept going, I would be dead. I crawled to the bedroom that night. My wife, who'd gone to bed as soon as she saw what stupidity we were up to. And I said, Donald Trump's our president. Thought I was so wasted I didn't know how the election turned out. And I was out with a hangover for 3 days. I'm one of the 4 people in this country who can probably say that Donald Trump's election legitimately had health impacts on me. People, and it was great because the community college I was going to, if you didn't show up to school for the last couple of days, we understand you. It's for your mental health. No, it was for my physical health. I probably should have gone to the hospital. They thought I was having, Trump got elected syndrome. It was, no, if I move, I'll die.
I remember the day Trump got elected, my brother and sister were like, he's a horrifying racist.
I still haven't heard him say anything about racist.
Neither have I.
Worst racist ever.
You could only interpret what he said as racist through the most charitable interpretation.
I'd like to bring back the attention to, because they used Pepe, they're Nazis and should be stomped out lens.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
I don't know either.
I'll show you the tweet. I will show you the tweet. You've got to see it. It exists.
Post it on our Facebook.
I will not.
Post it on our Facebook.
No! Anyway, I'm not uploading that to our followers because I don't engage with our followers.
Fine.
You engage with our followers.
Fine. Send it to me, and I'll engage with it. Which, by the way, you've pulled it up.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
And you've read it.
I'm going to read it to them now.
Okay. I'm going to drink.
All right. So, I'm not going to say this person's name because I don't believe in doxing.
It's not doxing. It's an online account. Do it. What are they going to do? Retaliate?
No.
Our 10 viewers will be outraged.
All right. Whatever. Many of the Hong Kong protesters are literal Nazis. That's one sentence. The first sentence in, and we're already at Nazis.
Oh, boy. Continue. Come on, this gets better.
They internalized the racism of their former Anglo oppressors and are fighting for global white hegemony just like the modern right wing across the West. Conservatism has been replaced by white supremacy. This is in response to an article by Global News titled Hong Kong Protesters Are Using Pepe as Part of a Pro-Democracy Movement. Let's circle back, shall we, to that first sentence.
I've been telling you this tweet was amazing.
Many of the Hong Kong protesters are literal Nazis.
So in order to be a Hong Kong protester, you must have gassed a Jew.
In order to be a Hong Kong protester, apparently you must also be a socialist.
A member of the Nationalist Socialist Party, which is what Nazi initially meant.
Correct.
So, these National Socialists protesting for democracy are white supremacists?
Yes, apparently.
These Asian
These
Asian pro-democracy protesters are literal National Socialists.
Exactly.
As they protest for democracy.
Yep.
I'm telling you, that tweet is art. It's artistry. Because here's how this works. If it's real, it's art. And if it's a troll, it's so good.
I mean, let's just be real
quality.
here. In before Poe.
Right. But the thing is, if it's fake, it's done so well that it's beautiful. And if it's real, that just makes it more... It's like staring at the tweet of Lisa.
Yeah.
Because I highly doubt I'm going to see a tweet more moronic
than this.
Because it's calling Asian democracy seekers National Socialist white supremacists. How? The point is, you needed to see this.
I did need to see that because I didn't believe you. Oh, no. That's not true. I believe there was a tweet like that, as you described. That was a bit more than I was expecting from that.
I told you it was beautiful. If I mention something from Twitter, you know it's good.
Yeah.
You can share that with our followers if you want, but my point is, it exists, it's out there, and may the God who made that, whether they be complete moron or excellent troll, may they live on to amuse me further.
Oh, I hope so.
He's good, comrade. When purge squads come, we spare you. Oh, wait, no, wrong team. Sorry. I'm getting all my accents together,
Just
so no matter
remember,
who wins, I live.
Just remember, children, who may think us too hard on this person. Liberals get the bullet, too.
Two?
Interesting. As in, as well.
I'm aware.
You see, children, communists don't like liberals.
Well, what I want to know is, you're talking a lot about bullets, yet when I go buy ammo, you're never there with me. Nor do you purchase any. So what I'm hearing is you're planning on mooching off of my bullets.
I don't have a gun to purchase bullets for.
And that's why you just might be on my communist watch list. McCarthy ain't got shit on me.
Very true. Oh, by the way, McCarthy didn't McCarthy anything. Just in fairness.
What? Are we going to go over McCarthy? Is this about to happen?
We could.
I mean, isn't
But
modern
it's not-
leftism just basically McCarthyism repackaged?
But it's not, it's not within our topic right now.
What the fuck was our topic again?
Hong Kong.
Right.
And the fact that they've taken down a government surveillance drone.
Drone? No.
It was in fairness, it was a light pole.
So what you're telling me, because I saw this, there are light poles in Hong Kong that exist
They're smart light poles.
for the sole purpose of IDing people's faces.
Probably. It's
And the
fine
fact
against
that
facial
that
recognition.
itself is not our topic, because you might possibly be a communist with your liquor and your non-supporting McCarthy. And
I didn't say I didn't agree with what was done in the age of McCarthyism, but McCarthy...
Didn't say you did.
But Senator McCarthy did not actually do any of the McCarthying.
yeah, and Pelosi didn't have anything to do with Antifa, yet somehow they go hand in hand. Another subject, another day.
Curating of history. You know, it does.
Isn't that what we signed up to do?
Technically, yes.
There you go. That's why we're out.
But personally,
That's why the guy with blue hair has a history job and we don't. Anyway, case in point being, it is a normal thing there that there are light poles dedicated to facial recognition.
Oh, yeah. And there's your social credit system.
I feel like that was a Black Mirror thing.
It was a Black Mirror thing. And the Chinese decided to make it real.
Social credit. So is this going to be one of those things where if you gaff online or do something stupid, you can't, exist?
Yes.
Because it was.
Correct.
No, I remember that episode of Black Mirror because it had the cute redhead from Jurassic Park in it.
You mean the one that wore white throughout the
And
entirety
it
of
never
Jurassic World?
stained. And you know what? A woman who can do that with laundry, that's wife material.
She was ugly.
It never stained. I don't know what she looked like.
has-
All I
she
saw was
had-
the suit.
She has witch face, man.
I never saw her
It all goes
face.
to the nose.
It doesn't matter. I never saw her face because despite being attacked by a fucking T-Rex, her clothes stayed spotless.
She ran in heels.
She ran in heels, like only the best hookers can. And her suit stayed
She does
spotless.
work in Hollywood, so.
My point is, I don't know what she looks like because I was too amazed that whatever detergent she used was so good that she was able to stay pristine through the whole thing. I can't walk out of the house in white. I'm just saying.
Chris Pratt at no point ended up shirtless in Jurassic World or Jurassic World 2, so.
Did you
I'm
want to
over it.
see Chris Pratt shirtless? Don't get me wrong. I like Chris Pratt, but I don't feel like you're going to be, it's not like The Rock.
The Rock is ugly.
What?
The Rock is ugly.
You are a communist.
I am.
The Rock is
Get
a
over
national
it.
treasure. So are
The
his
Rock
ads.
is overrated.
No, he's not.
The Rock is overrated. The fact that he beat John Cena at WrestleMania is bullshit.
Who's talking about WrestleMania?
I'm just trying to inflame people at this point.
The Rock is a national treasure.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
He's ugly.
He was great in Jumanji, and you have to get over that.
I've never seen Jumanji.
You didn't see a movie with The Rock and Jack Black on the same stage? No wonder you're a godless communist. Those two are both national treasures for pretty much the same reason.
I'll concede Jack Black. I will not concede The Rock.
Really? Really? How about the fact that The Rock donates cars to veterans in his free time? Just to spite Vin Diesel, who's doing advertisements for Dodge. He's petty, and he's beautiful. Sponsor me, The Rock.
I don't like The Rock.
You are a godless communist.
Don't show up next week.
I live here. You don't show up next week. The Killbots are live, and I'm taking you off the whitelist.
Speaking of killbots,
Oh, God.
the downed light pole.
Right, back to what we were... How did we get to The Rock?
Don't ever... I don't question tangents.
Anyway. Chris Pratt, The Rock, light pole.
Yes.
There exists a place in the world, social credit, that's how we got there, where surveillance poles are a normal thing. Mm-hmm. And somehow, the people who are now rioting were cool with that.
Yeah.
If they'd done that in Houston, there wouldn't be a Houston. They'd just burn that bitch down.
Yeah.
So the Chinese government went for broke and said, we're going to occupy you now. And we know who you all are.
Pretty much.
And we've seen what you've been browsing online.
Also, yes.
I mean, I would riot just to keep that information safe.
Yeah.
I really don't want to explain why I've been reading about ocean liners for 37 hours this week.
Is this Titanic related?
There were more ships than the Titanic, you fucking plebe. Many more. Hundreds more.
There were only 3.
What?
I don't know.
What?
I'm not as obsessed with water as you.
Obsessed with, hey, look, when all the shit hits the fan, everyone's going to run for the sea. And I wonder who's going to know how to reactivate the 100-year-old engines on old ships while everyone else is dying. Me.
I'll stick close to you then.
I don't support communism. You want to know who will be allowed to stick close to me? The Rock! Just saying. And Chris Pratt. But I feel like he'll be okay. They've got, like, mansions with walls.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I don't feel like I've ever heard Chris Pratt come out against anything political. He got in trouble for wearing a "Don't Tread on Me" shirt once.
He got in trouble also for saying he's a Christian and you have a soul and you should be a good person in his speech.
Chris Pratt's a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
I still don't see why you want to see him with a shirt off, though. He's like us. A good personality doesn't matter whether you have a shirt on or not. Let's be honest, we like Chris Pratt because he's America. He's what the real America should be.
You don't understand because you don't get it.
No, but yet you're giving me shit for saying that the redhead who keeps white clothes clean through a T-Rex attack.
She has witch face, man.
Clothes clean, T-Rex attack. If Lewinsky would do that, we'd still have Bill. But she couldn't keep her clothes clean, now could she?
Alright, on that note, I think we gotta go.
I shouldn't be allowed in public. Just saying.
Alright, so I hope you enjoyed
Breathe,
this
man.
last
Breathe.
round of this most recent round of the Academic Alehouse.
Where
God
allegedly-
forbid this be our last round.
Where allegedly we discussed Hong Kong.
I think we covered about as much as we could given what we have.
Which is nothing.
Which is not a lot, because nobody's covering it.
Oh, boy.
That being said, I hope you all enjoyed. I am going to finish my liquor and Coke. Luke, what are you going to do?
I don't know. Well, if you're going to be doing liquor and Coke, I'm going to wait for you to burn down the Amazon forest. That's right, I haven't forgotten you, Brazil.
Alright, this has been Clayton and Ryan. Signing out.
You're doing a sign-off? The fuck is that? We don't sign off.
We're trying to sign off. Come up with your own, fuckwit.
I don't sign off. I hate you all. I don't know why you listen. Signing off.